Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Tuesday, April 25th, around 9:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2023. Amazingly enough, another plasma filament is headed our way, albeit slightly smaller, but we also have to deal with this coronal hole coupling with us at the same time, so they could send us into geomagnetic storm. But the big story here in the U.S., parts of Yosemite National Park are closed amid flooding fears as heat wave causes rapid snowmelt. Keep calm. It's boom time. Now, as predicted, flood threat now is to force closures at Yosemite National Park. Most of Yosemite Valley will be closed through at least May 3rd, and that is the time frame we showed up to a week ago would lead to catastrophic flooding in the West. So keep a close eye on for updates as that debacle unravels. The National Weather Service also issuing flood watches for the Sierras as well as Yosemite. Warmer weather temperatures, snowmelt raise the risk of major floods along the Mississippi as well. So we're not out of the woods here, just in the Sierras. We've got the spring runoff for the Mississippi, and the river is coming up. Davenport experiencing flooding from a record-breaking flood level back in 2019. Here, I actually did a photo essay of the river flooding when O.J. Simpson was on that low-speed chase. I don't know when that was, 1996 or 7. I was out here. The Mississippi River was 60 miles wide at the Quad Cities here in Davenport. So I don't think we'll return to something like that, but there is flooding threats on the Mississippi as we speak, and we'll have a more detailed update tomorrow, perhaps, as epic snow melts. A California community braces for floods. This is in Tulare, we know that, and the South San Joaquin Valley, which is already flooded 100 square miles and increasing by the day. Hail pounds Central Florida. Oh, macaroni. This is in Winter Garden in the Orlando area, and it literally looked like snow. So that's coming through Kissimmee and Groveland, just west of Orlando. So heads up, hail is certainly on the increase. We've been reporting on it for days. Intense thunderstorms could hit Houston on today and tomorrow. A front heading for the Houston area may generate high-intensity storms this week. I think Reed Timmer is out there chasing the activity, and winter storm warnings and watches have been issued throughout Colorado. And we're going to get to the full forecast in just a moment. As the National Weather Service in Hastings, Nebraska, sees the coldest temperatures this late in spring, ding dig, in 116 years. Shut up, Al. Get in your hole. This wasn't even about snow, just cold temperatures. Here's the full forecast. Heavy snow, fire weather concerns, and increasing severe weather threats. A storm tracking through the Rockies will bring heavy snow for higher elevations into Wednesday. Strong winds and dry conditions may result in the rapid spread of any wildfires across parts of the Southwest, especially in the areas of the Pink. As the storm tracks eastward, increasing threats of severe weather and excessive rainfall across portions of the Southern Plains and lower Mississippi Valley during Wednesday will be apparent. Now, let's walk this through. Here we are Wednesday morning, and you can see that severe weather popping up, starting right here, where we were reporting on that thunder snow probability tomorrow afternoon on the eastern plains of Colorado, and also maybe some severe weather in eastern Nebraska. That's going to move west during the day. Here's midday Wednesday through Nebraska, dropping down into Oklahoma with the severe weather threat. Then boom, late day Thursday, a severe weather threat in eastern Texas explodes and moves east. Take a look. So severe weather threat will continue with thunderstorms, hail, tornadoes, and high winds through the end of the week. This is through Friday. Finally, it will move offshore, where we're going to get another snow system moving into Colorado and creating a secondary severe weather threat for the weekend. Saturday, Sunday, take a look at that. That will be your fun day there Sunday in the Louisiana, Mississippi area. Heads up, severe weather is coming. No one's bumming about the snow, ho, ho, ho. Here's the snow through Wednesday night in Colorado. Could be picking up 16 inches here in the San Luis Valley. Heads up. And the snow forecast continues to move through Thursday and Friday. A second system hitting Colorado and moving into northern New Mexico. And then through the weekend, looks like a heavy system to be hitting Ontario here in Canada, bringing up to 3 to 4 feet of snow for some regions. And then we have a system that's going to be multiple systems hitting the west, which could bring a 1-2 punch to the Sierras through the first week of May, bringing more heavy snow to the South Sierras, adding insult to injury to that flooding, unfortunately. Now, exceptional cold grips parts of Japan, and Utah posts minus 19.2 Fahrenheit as the U.S. suffers a late season freeze, with multiple records being broken. China returns to winter and persists with the region seeing their latest snowfall in recorded history. The world is literally breaking all known records, including epic ice extent. We're at an 8-year high in ice extent up in the Arctic, an 11-year high for Arctic ice area. The mainstream media is not reporting on that. Seismic update. Another interesting rocker up in the Northeast, 2.9 in New Hampshire, 4 kilometers southwest of Center, Sandwich. That sounds delicious. No other quakes of note. The most recent quake is a 5.0 in Papua New Guinea at 109 kilometers. But overall, all is quiet across the globe. Worldwide volcano news update. Thank God, nothing big is puffing and passing. Sangay back down to normal levels at 22,000. Ibu puffing at 7,000. We've got Santo Huito, Fuego, Popo, Ibu, Tucono, Reventador. Nothing spectacular, all normal. Popo to 24, Sabancay to 25, Fuego to 15, Nevados de Ruiz, sporadic ash emissions, but we're waiting for the big one. Where's that Nevado de Chilan? Who knows? So many volcanoes erupting. And that leads to all this SO2, sulfur dioxide. This is all the ash from that Bezamiani eruptions now in Europe. Holy macaroni. And they're going to be moving through Europe over the next few days, dropping down into Germany and other countries. I just push play there. And you can see the sulfur dioxide from the Bezamiani eruptions. You can see the sulfur dioxide down here from Sangay in Ecuador, just lingering, not really moving around much, but lots of volcanic gas up here in the northern hemisphere. And that's going to keep it cool for much of the spring. Ding, dang. Especially Europe. Could be another cool down due to volcanic winter. Boom! The plasma filament coming off the sun earlier today looks like, according to NASA, may give Earth a glancing blow on, boom, the 27th or 8th. And that's the same time we're going to be coupled with this coronal hole stream. So hopefully that won't add insult to injury. On the WSA Enlil spiral, they are not updated. They're not even showing a filament release at all on the model here. So that's good news for us. But according to the 3-day geomagnetic forecast coming out from NOAA, we could get up into geomagnetic instability. In fact, here is, well, KP5 for 12 hours on April 28th. Now, April 28th is the day we will be coupling with the coronal hole, and the same, well, maybe that'll be the 27th. It could be earlier. So it's hit or miss when these two may meet, but the plasma filament that was ejected is 1/10 of the density and strength of the last one, so don't expect any big fireworks like we've seen. Albeit, if they do meet up, we could get some intensity up to KP6, in my opinion. As we keep a close eye on telemetry here, which tells us everything, plasma density has remained pretty stable for the last 48 hours, so we're not expecting any changes. Small change in the phi angle here, nothing significant. BZ staying pretty much consistent, but the plasma speed is rising slightly up and above 550, so keep an eye out for more updates. Now, a commercial lunar lander presumed lost after historic moon landing attempt. This just happened in the last few hours. A Japanese lunar lander carrying a rover developed by the United Arab Emirates attempting to find its footing on the moon's surface Tuesday and potentially mark the world's first lunar landing for a commercially developed spacecraft has gone quite bad. The flight controllers on the ground were not immediately able to regain contact with the craft, prompting the company to presume the spacecraft is lost and a ton of money. Yeah. The Japanese lunar lander carrying a rover developed in the United Arab Emirates attempted to find its footing on the moon Tuesday, and it didn't go good. The lander, built by Japanese firm iSpace, launched atop the SpaceX rocket from Cape Canaveral, Florida on December 11th. The spacecraft then made a 3-month trek to enter orbit around the moon, which lies about 239,000 miles from Earth, and using a low-energy trajectory. Overall, the journey took the lander about 870,000 miles through space. Touchdown was expected to occur Tuesday at 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time, which is actually Wednesday, 1:40 a.m. Japan Standard Time. But minutes passed as the mission control team worked to regain contact with the vehicle after an expected communications blackout. After about 20 minutes after the planned landing time, iSpace CEO Takisha Hakamada delivered the update. "We have not been able to confirm a successful landing," he said. "We have to assume that we could not complete the landing on the lunar surface. Our engineers continue to investigate the situation." So, bad news coming from the Chinese or Japanese. What is it? Which is it? It doesn't matter. Not the U.S. lunar lander. Now, it may be that this major geomagnetic storm had everything to do with frying the instrumentation needed to land on the moon today, because this all happened yesterday. Hey. So, I don't want to be the bringer of bad news, but doing anything in space in the coming years is a bad idea, including landing on the moon or even going to Mars, because events like this fry electronics and fry the brains of astronauts. Just a word of warning. Now, SpaceX's Starship rocket blew a huge crater into the concrete launch pad during its test flight, which was deemed a success, but destruction like this on a launch pad is clearly unsuccessful. Can you imagine the cost to replace this for the next test? Recent rapid ocean warming ahead of El Nino alarms scientists. The only problem is that's exactly what happens during El Nino. No, the real story is that the sea surface temperature, the global world from 60 south to 60 north, has been above record territory for 34 straight days. This means that there is a rapid shift to El Nino unlike has ever been seen before. Now, clearly, this is going to drop down like it has in every year, because this is a cycle that has ebbs and flows during the season. But these peaks are showing a rapid movement into El Nino. Well, and the data doesn't lie. Here is the monthly sea surface temperature, the Niño 3.4 index, and you can see that it's exponentially getting hotter and hotter in the sea surface in the Pacific and worldwide in the mid-latitudes. So we will rapidly enter El Nino by May, and the weather patterns will shift in a big way. Stay tuned for what is about to happen. And what's happening now is an allergy season so bad, you don't need allergies to feel miserable. Pollen season is starting earlier and hitting harder and irritating even more people who don't usually suffer. Thank you, mainstream media, for making us feel miserable once again. And here's another reason to feel miserable: more bank jitters as First Republic probes asset sales. Bad bank options, according to sources. I think $40 billion have been withdrawn from First Republic Bank in just the last few days. That's half of the total value of the bank. People are taking their money out and running for the hills, as you should. You should also be stocking up on supplies and maybe some protective gear. Home invaders were shot and sent running for their lives when an armed resident opens fire. And good news for him, he lived. And no one cares about the people that broke in. But 4 apparent psychopaths broke into a house in my stomping grounds back in Bethlehem Township. That's in southeastern PA. On Thursday, about 4 a.m. And they happen to all seems to be Mexican. Delgado, Matas, Francis Fernando, Santiago. Well, the homeowner had a gun, and he opened fire. And he shot, well, he should have shot them all, but he only got 2 of them. And his life was spared, and his property was saved, and only because of the Second Amendment. Capiche? Now, the 2023 seed exchange was a roaring success. One of the biggest fundraising efforts for the entire 13 annual events and one of the biggest turnouts. It was just an amazing event. The speakers were all amazing. The turnout for the speakers were amazing. And they had professional videographers and technicians there filming the event. And the official video of my talk is now up on Crestone Energy Fair. Just 30 views. How embarrassing is that? Please, let's all go over here and support the efforts that Lee and I did on this weekend event at the 13th Annual San Luis Valley Seed Exchange. Come check out my talk, listen, and learn a little. And here's just a sneak peek. I am going to talk about permaculture in Zone 5A and our about a decade journey through the process. I don't know how many of you out there are familiar or have taken a general permaculture course. So raise your hand to give me an idea of who I'm talking to here. It's about 30%. You could take all the permaculture courses you want, and I highly recommend if you don't know anything about growing, land stewardship, sustainability, topography, water catchment, any of those types of things, that you do get a permaculture book or take a class. Because I don't know how many of you are aware that there are some problems with our supply chain, our food system, and corporate agriculture that's getting more and more chemically driven. Those of us who thought that organic was once a safe way to buy food and consume food, that have done any research, know that the glyphosate residue is on all the products that are in most of our supermarkets. So the only way you can know that you're getting wholesome, nutrient-dense food is to grow it yourself and not use chemicals. So about 5 years ago, we started using Beyond Organic. A lot of people picked that up 5 or 6 years ago, and it's simply deciding not to spray for any reason. That sounds like an awesome talk. Who is that guy? That guy's awesome. You know what else is awesome? The hours and hours over years I spent putting together the Oppenheimer Ranch Preparedness Store. It's on Amazon, but it brings together all of the most important things and necessities you may need to prep for a future that is not so bright or that is prepared, not scared. Anything you need that could possibly exist that we think is important for preparedness and growing your own food and keeping yourself healthy, wealthy, and wise in the future are in our Preparedness Store. And someone just reached out today and asked me to add some stuff to permaculture necessities, and I did. That's all you have to do is send me an email at oppenheimerranch@gmail and ask me to put something in the store. I put in a full-size scythe to harvest your own grains when the grid goes down. Now, it might be a bit pricey, but this is the way it worked in the olden days. And today, you would need a $38,000 device, an attachment for your tractor, just to harvest grain. When back in the day, you just needed a blade like this, well, and a grinding stone. And that's all you had. And for $114, you can harvest your own grain for the rest of your life. Isn't that crazy? Oops, I don't know how that got in there. And that's a boom to knowledge. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please share this video. We are shadow banned and we need your help to grow. We love each and every one of you. Please watch the video over at Crestone Energy Fair on permaculture in Zone 5A. You don't have to live in 5A to benefit from what I say in the entire hour presentation. You can live anywhere in the world and gain knowledge by listening to my words. Thank you for watching the video. Be safe. We love you. And that's a boom.